if it was illegal to say stupid things into a microphone.
Why must you be so stupid?
These guys would be doing life without parole.
Hey, everybody, we're back from prison.
Why do we keep encouraging this kind of behavior? It's the Breaking the Ice podcast with Josh Dolan.
You know, we could, go to jail for this.
Along with Mike Shue and Isaiah Moskahana Mana Blitz Boskowitz, whatever the hell his name is.
Greg.
Hey, it's the Three Guys with Hats podcast.
That's right. Thanks for wearing your hat, Greg. We appreciate it.
Glad we coordinated.
What are you guys hiding?
Oh, I'm hiding as much as you're hiding. See?
There you go.
I'm hiding my forehead. So.
Oh, you got a nice mop up there.
Yeah.
I know. That's what pisses me off about him, Greg, is he's got a full head of beautiful hair and he hides it all the time.
Well, you know, I just listened to everybody in high school talking about how big my forehead was and that it looks like a drive-in movie theater screen. And this is just more of a sensor. So
yeah,
just shorten it up.
I think there's I don't know what the under-over is on when you're allowed to wear a baseball cap backwards, but I think it's 24.
Well,
that's when I stopped maturing.
Yeah, he's been doing it his whole life. Unfortunately, that's just been.
He's grandfathered in.
Yeah, that's it. He's like a cartoon character at this point. This is him. This is how he is right here. Hat backwards. This is how he shows up in, Calvin and Hobbes all the time.
Right.
That's Josh, the character Josh.
Hat with a suit. I only take it off in court, and that's it. So
he's on brand.
And I've been wearing it my daughter's entire life. So now when I take it off, she doesn't know who I am. So
right.
Oh.
And his daughter's 5 months. Is that it?
Just turned 8 months.
Oh, okay. All right.
You guys should talk more.
I know. Well, I'm not, we're not going near each other these days, right? I mean, we're trying to play it safe. We're socially distancing and then some,
Yeah. I was just in Florida and went down to see my mom for Christmas with my kids. And she took us to a Catholic church on Sunday morning on Christmas morning. And I mean, 400 people. And we might have been the only people with masks on in the entire church.
Yeah, they don't wear
the hot spot. This is when Florida was
right.
the #1 state. And then the priest has the balls to go, we'd like to say a prayer now for all the people that died of COVID-19. I'm like, how about you pray that people put some masks on?
Oh, my God. They don't do masks down south. I was down in Savannah around Christmas. And again, there's tons of people out in the street and in cafes and everything, and nobody's wearing a mask. Nothing at all.
Why is it that the people that don't wear masks are the ones that you most want to put a fucking mask on?
It's like a nude beach, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's never the supermodels that are hanging out at the nude beach.
Have you been to a nude beach?
No, I've not on purpose. No.
He's been nude at a beach, but that was just Hampton.
That was different. There were mushrooms involved. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was down there and nobody in Savannah was like rolling. I mean, it was really jam packed down there and nobody inside, outside, nobody's wearing a mask. 1 or 2 people. And they were probably from out of state. Like
Savannah?
My mother lives in Savannah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I hear it's a great town.
It is. It's a great little city. And I think there's a reason why Sherman didn't burn it at the end of the Long March there, the March to the Sea, because it's such a charming city. Yeah. And it's got a lot of history and a lot of interesting characters. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's like a little mini New Orleans almost.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly, Savannah has like the second biggest St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
Parade in the country, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
I think they're behind Chicago. And then Holyoke, Massachusetts is number 3.
How was Boston not in the top 3?
I know, right? Because they're hard asses.
Is that the lesbian St. Patrick's Day March?
No, that's in Northampton.
Oh, I thought Holyoke was.
No, Holyoke is the methamphetamine St. Patrick's Day March.
Oh, little faster. The entire parade wraps up in about 7 minutes because everybody's running.
Yeah, everyone's just running, and then they're rifling through purses and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a lot of
the
fun.
exciting
you should go.
parades.
Yes.
One of the few exciting ones.
Dude, that area, we used to go out there. There was a woman named Sherry Hirsch that used to book hell gigs in Holyoke and all around Springfield and Western Mass. And we used to go out there. Me and Joe Rogan, we were roommates when we started out in Boston. And so we used to jump in the car together and we drive out there for like $50 each. We drive out there and she'd be like, "You're headlining now." And it's like, really? I've only been doing it for a year and a half and I've got 15 minutes. I'm headlining. So you just do a lot of crowd work. So I got to know the people really well because I didn't have material. So I was just like, what do you do? Where do you live? How long you two been fucking for?
So you did a lot of the material of East Longmeadow, huh? So this is a big night out for you.
Yeah, right. Hey.
Was this at
if I do really well, I can work Amherst next week.
Was this at the Hookie Lao in Chicopee?
That sounds very familiar. I know I worked in Chicopee. I don't remember the name of the place.
It was like a Polynesian Chinese place.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. They had for a long, I don't know if they're still open, but for a long time, that was the comedy place in the 413 area code, the Hookie Lao.
Now, how many Chinese restaurants did you do around here, Greg? You and Rogan going around for...
Well, they were all Chinese because the thing about Chinese restaurants is a lot of them had banquet rooms in the back of the restaurant. And so these comedy club promoters came in and they said, "Hey, how many people are in that room on a Wednesday night?" And they're like, "Nobody." You know, we pretty much just, we rent it out on weekends pretty much. And so they're like, "We'll take it on Wednesday night. You'll get all the liquor and the food sales, and we get the ticket money." And they would get 300 people coming in, paying $20 a head. So what's that? $6,000, and we would get like $50 each, and the promoters kept all the money.
But they'd also you'd get your meals half off, right?
You got the meal half off.
You know, a couple of free poo-poo platters, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could have sex with one of the aging waitresses.
That sounds like the Aku.
You ever do the Aku in Worcester?
The Aku in Worcester. I was on stage there one night, and a fight broke out. I read this. I did this bit where I said I wrote these new greeting cards, and this is my deadbeat Father's Day card. And it was just whatever. I forget how the bit even went. But this guy stood up and he goes, "Hey, I'm a deadbeat dad and I resent that." And so the guy goes, "Sit down, asshole." And so his friends turn around. They all just it was like a rugby scrum. There was just like 20 guys fighting. And there was a xylophone door, because the room was only half full. And they knocked through it and they ripped it out of the ground. And they were rolling around, and I'm like Howard Cosell. I'm calling the fight. I'm like, and he hits him with a right. Oh, watch out! He's got a poo-poo bowl in his hand. And it went on for so long that they called the cops. And by the time the cops got there, the fight was still going on.
Jesus.
And of course, they didn't arrest anybody. Just hey, Marty, get out of here, Marty. What are you doing?
Right. It's like, I don't want to do the paperwork for you tonight. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Aku is gone, but those guys are definitely still around. And I live in Worcester, and I pretty much see them every day. The men you just described, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're still there.
I took my son when we were looking at colleges. We went up to Worcester to look at Clark. It's a great school.
Yeah.
And we went out. I took him out drinking. I don't drink, but he does. He had a fake ID, so I took him to a bunch of bars and around Worcester. And then we got to one and it said comedy night tonight. And I was like, oh, this is going to be some red-faced Irish hack postal worker. And then I look up and it's Frank Santarelli.
Oh, no way.
And I go, it's like the comedy gods just delivered me Frank Santarelli on a Wednesday night in Worcester at some hotel. And so I got a couple tickets, and I didn't even tell Frank we were there. I got a couple tickets. I just sat there and I watched him, and my son loved him. He was great. It was amazing.
Did he sign a Sopranos 8x10 for you?
He did. He was signing Sopranos 8x10 after the show.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've been rewatching, I should say. I've been watching The Sopranos. I hadn't seen The Sopranos at all until 2 months ago when I started watching it.
Really?
Yeah. The same exact reaction every time, every person. Really? And then they act like I have leprosy. They're kind of like, and then they just they try not to look at me when I'm talking to them, or
it's hard to respect somebody that would miss out on a cultural touchstone like that, because you are the demographic. Exactly.
Yeah. And I work in the media, so you think I'd be trying to keep up on these things. I actually, for a while, I took pride in the fact that I didn't watch The Sopranos, and same thing with Game of Thrones. I haven't seen one episode of Game of Thrones.
What do you do at night?
Huh?
What do you read at night? What are you, a bookworm?
Hey, man, reading. There's nothing wrong with reading. All right, Greg. Maybe you should try reading sometime. Okay.
Yeah. Send me over your People magazines. I'll check them out. I'm interested in the old issues.
I read TV Guide. I don't watch TV. Yeah. I just read about it.
Got a stack of them on your nightstand. Yeah, I just keep it to myself when I've never seen The Sopranos either, but like it's the same when like people are like, that episode of Breaking Bad, and I'm like,
wait, you haven't seen Breaking Bad or Sopranos either?
I keep it to myself.
Let's keep this on record. I've seen Breaking Bad. I've seen all of Breaking Bad. Josh hasn't.
Then people get mad. It makes me not want to watch it even more. I'm like, you know what? Now I'm really not going to watch it.
I mean, I don't understand what's more fulfilling and joyous as a straight white man than watching these male protagonists who break the law, who don't do what they're told, and get tons of pussy and coke and money, and you don't want to watch that? You don't want to get engrossed in like the best writing TV has ever offered?
I'm too busy watching Joe Rogan's podcast so I can take what he said and go out in the world and use it as facts. So I can.
Right. You taking a lot of vitamins?
Yes, I'm taking On It for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it is.
I can tell your brain is very sharp.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never seen any of those shows. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a podcast. We don't talk to each other, Greg, and then we don't watch anything else anyone else's. I watch like 10-Year-Old Tom on HBO and Golden Girls reruns. So that's about it, right? Whatever.
Actually, when I missed, everybody else was like the best written sitcom in history. Like people go on about the writing on that show, and I never watched it. I know you guys didn't either.
Which one?
Golden Girls.
Oh, Golden Girls. Yeah, I've only watched it because I was in the same room as my mother. That's the only time I've actually seen, and those are reruns.
Was it good?
Yeah, I guess it was pretty funny. Sure.
Now that's the show with Betty White on it, right?
Yes, the late great Betty White.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the only thing I watched with
magazine had Betty White turns 100, and it's still on the newsstands.
I know, right?
They didn't recall it. They didn't redo it. They fucking left it out there.
Well, that's like it's like a baseball card with a misspelling on it or something now. That's like a collector's item.
I know. I was going to buy one for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Betty White's secrets to making it to 100.
Oh, God. Betty White turns 100. Can you believe it? No, I actually can't.
No, that's wrong.
I mean, before she died, I was like, this is like saying shutout before the end of the game. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Turning 100 is a shutout. No, turning 100 is a perfect game.
Yeah.
I think turning 90 is a shutout.
Yeah. My grandmother turned 100 last May.
No shit.
Yeah. And she's she's having a little, it's starting to really get to her at this point. I mean, 100 years.
Yeah.
You say it that way. If you say 100, it's like, well, okay, wow, that's crazy. But you say 100 years, when you say those two things together, it's kind of like, oh my God, and she lived through the Depression and a few wars, and, all that stuff. And so we had all these. She loves baseball. She lives around Pittsburgh, and she loves the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we had these T-shirts made up. Says my grandmother loves balls, with a couple of baseballs on it and the Pittsburgh Pirates logo and stuff. And she still didn't get it, But hey, whatever.
Great, that's great.
Now, what's her secret to a long life? I feel like all those people are always like, "Oh, I have a Twinkie and a glass of whiskey every day, and
her
live forever."
She's actually the opposite. I don't even think she ever drank a drop of alcohol in her life or smoked a cigarette. But she did work in a factory that made grenades during World War II. So maybe she just learned to be a lot more careful than other people. I don't know.
That, and she's taken a lot of On It.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
She's a huge Joe Rogan fan, even now. Yeah.
She's a mutter now. She's doing mutters.
That's right. She's kicking the bag around like Rogan,
And she has not been vaccinated. No fucking shot.
Oh, fuck that. No. Ivermectin or whatever, all the way.
Yeah.
Hey, so can we talk a little bit about Bob Saget? I don't know if if you got to meet him or work with him or knew him.
He was a dear friend. He was a close friend. Yeah, he's a guy I got to know when I first moved out to LA. And truly, I mean, all you hear is the word kind in everybody's Twitter post about him. But he truly was, like, from the time I came out, and he didn't know me, I moved out to LA, and he just immediately, like, gave me his number and would just call me randomly. I think he must have done my podcast like 8 or 9 times. And we would go, we went on the road together a couple times, and just saw him in the clubs in LA all the time. And he was just always like present. He was just always a guy that showed up and made you feel special. He made you feel like a close friend. And he was he was a great star fucker. Like, if you hung out with Bob, you were going to hang out with some celebrities also. And I remember I went to, he invited me to his 60th birthday party. So I guess it was 5 years ago. And me and my wife are walking up the driveway, and the party was being held at the mansion that was where the Manson murders were.
Oh my God.
And the house is now owned by the guy that produced Full House, who, while he was producing Full House, had 2 other primetime sitcoms on the air. 3 sitcoms at the same time. So this guy, and they all syndicated. So this guy is rolling in dough. So what do you do when you make some money? You buy the Manson murder mansion.
Right. You buy a mansion where people were murdered. Right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So we're walking up the driveway, and we hear a Beach Boys song playing, and we're like, oh, cool. All right. Maybe people are dancing. They're playing some good music. Walk in the door, look to the left in the living room. No. It's the Beach Boys.
It's the Beach Boys.
It's fucking Mike Love. And then John Stamos is playing drums, and I think Ben Stiller was playing bass or something.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. And Bob's over there dancing. And he was just the guy that, like, I don't know, he really cared. Like, he cared. He cared about other people. He cared about his career. Like, he certainly had enough money. He never needed to do anything but vacation and, I don't know, take up golf or whatever, sit back, watch The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. He really had that kind of time. And instead, like, he was out doing stand-up, and he was very active on social media. Like, if he would take a selfie with you, and then it was 15 minutes before he would post it, because it had to be taken at the right angle, the right filter, the right cropping. Like, he was just totally meticulous about everything that he did. And I don't know, I'm very sad. I really am. It really hit me. It was so sudden. And the first thought was like, God, I'm never going to hang out with that guy again. There's some people where you go like, oh, I feel bad for his family or whatever. But I just selfishly feel like I feel like I've robbed of spending more time with him again.
What you said when you first started talking about him, that you see in everybody posting whatever on any social media, the words kind and sweet. I mean, that's just like all the posts started out like that. The kindest, he was the nicest guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was helpful and everything. It seems like that's like an anomaly in show business. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of people. I don't know. I got to meet him a couple of times when I worked at the WAAF, and he was just like, you know, when you turn the mic on, he was, you know, Bob Saget, the stand-up comedian, but, you know, in between, you know, during commercials or whatever, just the nicest guy, taking pictures and telling stories, and it's amazing. It's great that someone like that was able to achieve a great deal of success. You know? Yeah,
and he's one of those guys, like, a lot of people start in stand-up and then they make it in acting, and then they just leave stand-up behind, like it was the booster rocket that got them off, and then it just trails off into the ocean. But he really was committed to, you know, he had just put out a new special last year or the year before, and he was about to do 30 dates on the road. Like, you know, it was the thing that he cared the most about. And he did it all. You know, he directed. He wrote a book that I read that was outstanding. It was a memoir of his life. It was very touching about his sister dying of scleroderma, and he lost both his parents. He just acted, stand up, hosted, you know, did voiceover on that other sitcom. He just, you know, the guy was a powerhouse.
And like you said, he really didn't have to. I mean, he made so much money on Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, and but he just loved doing it, and that's what I loved. I think that was my filter for his stand up, because I was always like, Bob Saget, God, he's like Ryan Seacrest. You know, he's just Mr. Vanilla. You know, because of those two shows. And then when he was done, he started going out doing stand up. Like, this guy's filthy.
Yeah.
It's like it was all pent up inside of him. And then when he had a chance, you just unleash it on the world. And I just love that. You know, there was just kind of like, oh yeah, well, fuck this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He was also, he would say shit off stage to you that was so twisted. He was a guy that, like, I can't believe he didn't get Me Too'd for the things that he used to say to women. And he was just fucking around, and they were in on the joke, and they always laughed. He's the guy that got away with that shit, you know? You talk about being grandfathered in. He was allowed to say twisted shit to women and get away with it.
Well, he was starting to attain that celebrity that, like, Jeff Goldblum is at now, I think, or maybe even like Christopher Walken. You know, it's like, just being Bob Saget was like enough, you know, like just saying, hey, Bob Saget's here. And it was like, everyone just was like, yeah, you know, it's like, it was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was like,
well, yeah, I think when Comedy Central does a roast of you, you're an icon.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I think that's a big, you know, that really is like, you know, as a comedian, when you think about the different levels of success you can get to, being roasted on Comedy Central is about as high up as you can get. That's for comedians, getting roasted on Comedy Central. And if you're a musician, you know you've made it when Weird Al does one of your songs.
I was just gonna say.
Right? That's
exactly right.
That's like, Weird Al's doing it. I'm there. I'm done.
Right.
It's all gravy from here. Right? So you're going to be at Laugh Boston this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be at Laugh Boston Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it should be good. I mean, I don't know what the turnout's going to be like, because I think people are a little wary going out right now. But, you know, that club I think they keep it really safe. It's a big room, and people wear masks. And, you know, I don't cause people to expel a lot of air from their lungs when I'm telling my jokes. So it's a very good, low-profile environment.
Are you going to be performing behind glass or anything like that, like a salad bar spit shield or anything?
Yeah, there's going to be a sneeze guard up, and I'm going to wear boots and a condom.
Oh, nice. That's it, though, right?
Yeah, that's it. Just boots and a condom.
I know early in the pandemic in Providence, they were experimenting with putting plexiglass shields around the stage for the dancers. And so the guys sitting up on pervert row, wouldn't get anything on them.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When this was like last year, when they tried to start opening up the strip clubs again, and they were like, you can only do it if you have protective plexiglass around the stage, around the dancers.
Well, and that's tough because the dancers, they make their money doing lap dances. The stage dancing is really just like, that's just them showing their wares so that somebody asked them to go in the back room and get dry humped for $20 a song.
That's their commercial.
What's that?
I said that's their commercial.
That's their commercial. It's their infomercial. And it's like being a comedian and like, I can do stand up, but I can't sell my merch after the show. Well, I make my money on my merch.
Yeah. Well,
I'll also dry hump you for $20.
Well, I mean, if you're just gonna wear boots and a condom, sure, I'm up for that. $20 sounds like a bargain.
Well, I'm surprised Rhode Island. I'm surprised Rhode Island didn't have the strippers do the parking lot shows like the comedians were doing there for a while.
Yeah, right.
Did you do any of those, Greg?
Yeah, I did a couple of those. They were fun. I mean, look, we just lived through, are continuing to live through an event that will be talked about. You mentioned your grandmother in the Great Depression. Like, people will talk about, he was around during COVID. He lived through COVID, and to do something that involved my craft in a different way during a pandemic was interesting. It didn't. I think people enjoyed it. Like, people genuinely enjoyed sitting in their cars and watching comedy. And it's like, that's the great thing about stand-up is, there's always an adjustment. Sometimes you're in a theater and everybody's sitting still and they're laughing and they're great. And then other times you're at the Worcester Aku Aku and people are drinking booze out of a giant bowl with a straw and fighting. And like, sometimes that show's more fun. It's just like, I love when it's, when there's a little diversity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh. No, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was thinking that too, that like when I'm older, I'm going to be telling my grandkids about like, I lived through COVID, but now I'm starting to think I'm going to, instead of being like, yes, I lived through that, I'm just going to be telling them, I remember when this started. Like, it's still going to be going on. Like, yeah. I remember when this was new. We didn't have to wear masks.
Right.
So what's the most, like, either during the pandemic or beforehand, like, what's the most unorthodox or weirdest place that you've done stand up?
Well, I mean, just to keep it about Boston, me and Rogan got hired to do a show for the advertising community in Boston. Has an award show every year, so they can congratulate each other on their Mass Millions ad that they did, the old lady. And so I don't know why, but they had it at the Boston Aquarium, and they hired me and Rogan to be funny. And we're like, all right, where's the stage? When's the show? They're like, no. People are going to walk around. They're going to have cocktails. They're going to have hors d'oeuvres. And then you guys just walk around and just be funny. And they were giving us like $100 each, which was good money for us at the time. And we were like, all right, we'll do it. And so we were just being obnoxious. And like, I would walk up and start eating food off people's plates. And Rogan was like pretending to hit on women that were with their husbands. And then like, eventually he got his hands on the microphone for the aquarium. And he said, will the parent of a 6-year-old boy in a blue parka jacket please come to security? He's floating in the dolphin tank. And,
Oh my God.
And so we got kicked out. We got thrown out of the aquarium by security, and we never got paid.
You didn't get paid? Oh, nope. Man.
Didn't get $100.
I thought they were going to say, oh, no, there's no stage. Here, put these suits on. You're going in the tank.
And we would have done for 200. We would have done.
You get the dry erase thing that the divers use, and you're writing your jokes down and throwing them through the glass. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
you guys go on right after the Penguins. So
that's right. The dolphin show. Yeah,
and
it's
then
the dolphin show.
A trainer. I attack and kill a trainer.
They used to have concerts at the aquarium. My parents said they used to go to like concerts there all the time, and there would just be like people throwing their like beer bottles into the penguin tank, and it was just like I can't imagine where there would have been an event. Like, where would the band go? I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then the other weird show I did when I was in New York, I got hired to go to the Park Plaza Hotel, which is the nicest hotel in New York, and there was this very upscale wedding that was being held, and it was an older dude and a much younger wife, and so we get there. I get there, and the tables were spread out, and the daughter of the bride pulls me aside and she goes, they have kind of a running joke where like we kid that she's really going to just be like his nurse and he's old and she's going to like help him die. Like that's like our running joke. And they both laugh about it. So make jokes like that. And so I said, okay. So I go up there and I mean, I know I'm walking into a firing squad. There's like, everybody's old. All the guests are ancient and they're rich people don't laugh. And so I walk up and I start making jokes about how she's going to be changing his colostomy bag and, that she's still going to have sex with him, even though he can't get an erection and like going. And I mean, I'm getting nothing. The only people that are laughing is the daughter of the bride and her siblings, because they, turns out, hate this guy and just want to humiliate him at my expense.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Nice.
Yeah, but she's the one who cut me the check.
Well, hey, at least you got paid for that one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of gigs with like Rogan, and a lot of the guys you came up with, like Burr and Patrice O'Neill and Bobby Kelly, like did you ever go on like road trips with those guys?
Burr used to open for me. Burr started a couple years after me, so he used to open for me sometimes. And I remember one time we were at we were coming from Western Massachusetts, so we're on the Mass Pike, and we stopped at a rest area to go to like a Burger King, and we get some food, and these kids inside were like the local tough guys from freaking, I wish I could name a town in Western Mass where it stopped, but so yeah, we get outside. These kids were harassing us, and there was a bunch of them. So we just kind of like we were just full cucks. We just kind of took it, and then we got outside, and I got in my car, and I had an old Volkswagen, and the kids came out, and it was snowing. It was like there was like 3 inches of snow on the ground, and I just drove directly at them. And they all split up. And there was one kid that I was chasing with the car, and he started serpentining. He started zigzagging. Yeah. He was serpentining in the Burger King parking lot, and my car was sliding out in the snow, and the kids were all yelling at us and throwing beer cans.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, when was this? Like, about what year was this?
This would have been like 93.
Okay. All right. So this is way
84.
before everybody had a camera in their pocket.
Exactly.
Because see, now one of those kids would have had you on video, and then the cops would have been like on your ass, and you would have been like, crazy, militia guy tries to run over youth in Ludlow, Massachusetts, or whatever. And
Ludlow. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Ludlow.
Good
out
call.
by Chicopee.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty incredible, because I was like, there were the guys that were like, they were a couple years older than me, like Dave Cross, Louis C.K., Mark Maron. And then there was the guys that were a couple years below me, which was like Patrice and Burr and Bobby Kelly and Dane Cook. And then the guys my age, which was like Rogan and Tom Cotter was my class. And it was just so insane. And then we had the guys that were the kings, Gavin and Sweeney and Kenny Rogerson and Mike Donovan and Mike McDonald, and guys that, like, to this day, I would tell people they're the best comedians I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I've been in LA and New York for 32 years. I've seen the best. And I put Gavin up there with any of them.
It's amazing. Every comedian we've talked to on this podcast, or whether it was on the air, on whatever radio station we're working at, always Don Gavin.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always saying Gavin was the best they've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Like everybody.
Yeah, there's just something about his cool, his delivery, the way he throws things away. It's so confident and it's so grounded. It's unflappable. I mean, I've seen him go up in those hellish gigs. He does not give a shit how the audience is reacting to him. He knows 1,000% how funny he is. And if it's not going well, he knows it ain't him. And so he just, it's like he's reading the paper in the morning. That's how casual he is doing his stand-up.
Yeah.
And it's just so rapid fire the entire time he's on stage too. You don't even have time to remember his jokes. Like I remember the first time I saw him, my head was just down on the table and I was laughing, but I don't remember what the joke was. I just remember the punchline was, and then the dog walked in. And
right.
I don't know why it was funny, but
well,
yeah, he's got a new special out, I think, that just got recorded in Nantucket. And Kevin Flynn is putting it together, and I think they're going to release it this year.
Don Gavin?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. That's awesome. I love that, like, when you or Burr are on Joe Rogan, that it's just like you guys talk about all those guys the entire time. It's like, it's amazing.
Well,
I love it.
We learned a lot. You know, people say, why did so many good comedians come out of Boston? And it's because it was a closed community. You know, there weren't a lot of comedians coming in from the outside. Like they didn't really book comics from LA and New York that much, a little bit, but in the early days, it was just this camp of comics and we learned from each other. And those guys affected our tone in terms of being a wise ass, owning it, making the crowd understand that, you know, they're lucky to be there. I mean, that was the attitude that those guys always gave off. And it was a good one. A lot of us then went to New York, and that attitude translated really well to New York rooms where there was a lot of times when you first got there, you were going on at 1 a.m. in front of 4 or 5 people. And that attitude carried you through those sets.
Yeah, and like that Boston mentality too kind of came out in the Boston comedy scene. I think how the Boston comics didn't want the national guys coming in. Like you didn't want to open for Billy Crystal, and like they would try and on purpose make you look like an idiot. But if you were able to like work through it and kind of get the Boston crowd on your side, like I think Dom Maera kind of did pretty well in Boston because he's a Philly guy. It's kind of the same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Colin Quinn was one of the few guys that came up from New York who did well. You
had to match that really shitty attitude,
right?
That mass hole attitude,
right?
You know, it's like I got some things to, let me tell you how you're doing up there. You know, one of those. Yeah, exactly. That's really. I mean, it's amazing how this part of the country, the Northeast anyway, it's amazing how it stands out as far as comedy goes. You know, and like writers too. You know, you think of all the people that are like, like Amy Poehler and Seth Meyers and all these other people that seem to, all come from this area of the country. And I think it's the constant ball busting, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a confidence that is disarming to people. The self-possession that says I'm on this stage for a reason. There's a reason why I got the mic and you guys don't. And it's not like you have this feeling that you have to earn it. You just do, and Boston crowds make you too, because, you go up in front of these Boston audiences, like they don't necessarily give that up. You got to earn it with your attitude. Because they're funny too. And that's why I love Boston crowds, and they're great hecklers. They're some of the best in the business.
Oh, yes.
I welcome it.
But also, like they can smell if you don't believe in yourself too. Because I remember when I started doing like open mics and I started doing the Dick Doherty rooms and stuff. Like I still had that thought of like, oh, I hope they like me. And if you have that thought in your head, it's not going to work.
You're dead. Yeah, you're dead. I remember I was on stage at I forget one of the Knicks rooms, and I'd been doing it for like maybe 3 or 4 years. And I was tanking. I went up and I mean, I was getting nothing. And it was at that calm before the storm, with the Boston crowd. First, they give you a minute, arms across, they're waiting, and they haven't started heckling yet because you haven't provoked them enough with your suckiness. So I was at that lull. I was at that calm before the storm, and there was a couple up front, and they couldn't even look at me. They were a little bit older, and they had their heads down. And I just heard the woman say to her husband, and she didn't say it. She didn't mean for me to hear it. She just said to her husband, "The poor bastard."
Oh. They're like embarrassed parents,
Yeah. It was more cruel than somebody yelling, "You suck."
Well, so what would you rather have? Would you rather have like a crowd like yelling, "You suck," or would you rather have a crowd not do anything at all?
Oh, yelling for sure.
Yeah,
I can
right?
engage with yelling because then at least they're still interested.
Right. Yeah. You've got their attention.
That's when you're in real trouble.
Right. That's what we always used to say.
To work with.
Yeah. No reaction. That's the worst. That's the worst thing. Yeah. You want whether they're saying you're the best or, fuck you and they're throwing a bottle at you, it's like I work with a guy now. I do mornings at a station here in Worcester, and someone will text in or call in and say, "You guys fucking suck," or whatever like that. And he'll get all angry. I'm like, listen, dude, that means we're doing well.
That's right.
For someone to take their precious few moments they have and call us or text us and tell us we suck, that's like, you want that, you don't want it. Like,
if you're married to an Italian girl from Chelsea and she goes cold on you and gives you the silent treatment, that means she's leaving. But if she's still throwing fucking, cans at your head,
right?
Then there's a chance.
She loves you. Yeah, that's love right there, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I tell them. I said, you should be happy that they're doing this, You're making their day. This is the most exciting part of their day, is calling them going, "You suck," and then they hang up like, "I told that guy," and then they got to go home or go to work and get shit on by their boss or whatever. And
I didn't have that mindset until when I was on AF with Yushu, and like there would be a bunch of like positive text messages on the screen, and then there would just be one that would be like, "Who the hell is this kid?" Like, especially after LB quit, and all of a sudden they were like, "Where's LB? Who's this kid?" And I was like, "Oh God, beat me!" And you're like, "Hey, they're texting in, they're still listening." And
yeah, that's
kind
right.
of like that thing in stand up where I was always afraid of the silence. Like I would be setting up the joke, and everyone would be quiet and listening, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, I'm bombing." And then people would be like, "No, if they're quiet, you have their attention. They're listening. They're not yelling out." It makes me uncomfortable though.
So, Greg, how many podcasts do you have?
3.
Okay, Jesus.
Yeah, I do there's one that I've been doing for like 12 years called Fitz Dog Radio, where I just interview like comedians, directors, actors, and then I do one called Sunday Papers that I do with my buddy I went to BU, and a guy who's my best friend. He's been my best friend for 30 years, and so we go through the Sunday Papers together. And he's a comedy writer, and he creates a lot of shows. Like he created Norm Macdonald's last show and Spade's last show, and he created Tosh.0, and so we just go through like the business section, entertainment section, sports, and we read the story and then we do jokes about them. So
you literally do the Sunday paper. That's awesome. Paper. That's awesome. Oh, that's excellent.
And then I have another one called Childish, where Allison Rosen, who used to be Adam Carolla's sidekick, she's got babies and I've got grown teenagers, and so it's me trying to teach her how to parent, and she's not really buying it.
So you got 3 podcasts, and do you still do writing a lot on top of all that?
Yeah, I haven't written the last couple of years. It's been pandemic time, So I haven't really written on anything, but the writing work is hopefully going to pick up again. I sold a show to TBS in the fall, so I'm waiting to see what happens with that. And then, just hitting the road doing stand-up a lot. I got Boston, then I'm in Portland next week, and then the week after that I'm in Syracuse. And so, just trying to catch COVID as hard as I can.
Right. Yeah. Well, make sure the spit shield is up around the stage.
Yeah, right.
And double up on that condom you're going to wear. So, that's you're this weekend, right, at Laugh Boston, 13th through the 15th. Right.
You can get tickets at fitzdog.com or the Laugh Boston site. And come on out. It'll be fun.
All right.
In the purchase of every ticket, you get a scorpion bowl, right?
That's right. You get a scorpion bowl and a dry humping session.
We have a flaming volcano bowl from the Aku Aku in Worcester, because the last time my wife and I went there, they were selling the place, but we didn't know it. And
Really?
We were in there, and my wife was like, "Oh, I wish I could take this bowl home." And the guy goes, "I'll sell it to you for $10." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "If there's anything else you see around here, just let me know and you can take it home with you." They were just like liquidating the Aku Aku. So we have a flaming volcano bowl and a couple of those hula girl, Mai Tai, ceramic cups and stuff like that. And it was just hilarious. They were just offering whatever. I probably could have bought the chair I was sitting on and walked out of there,
Jesus,
that night.
That bowl could talk.
I know, right?
The empty promises were made that we're trying to get pussy over the years.
Did you ever do the Aku in Fresh Pond, the Cambridge one?
No, I think that was after my time.
Oh, it was after. Oh, okay.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because my parents lived right around the corner from that before they got married, and they would always talk about all the comedy shows that they would go to at that Aku. And I was thinking of like, all you guys were probably around. I didn't know it was after your time. I was like, the lineup you probably saw is probably like
right. Yeah.
Comics Come Home at the Garden now.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. No, but there was a lot of Chinese restaurants. That was a big thing, and some pizza places. I think Mike Clark's Giggles is still going up in San.
Oh
yeah,
that's still going strong. Lenny still shows up there like every now and then.
Yeah,
to do
every Friday.
Yeah. Did you ever you talked about doing gigs out in Western Mass? Did you ever do North Adams State College? You remember?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because when I was going, that's where I went to school, and it seemed for a while every Thursday they had like 3 comedians come out there, and I remember like Richard Janney would be out there a lot, and seeing a lot of guys out there. So I may have seen you up there if you had done it.
Yeah, there was a woman named Denise Kirk, and she used to book all the colleges in New England, and so we used to go out on once in a while. Me and Tom Cotter and Al Ducharme would get a couple bottles of wine, and we'd get some a thing of cookies, and we would drive out. They were out in Newton, their office, and we would drive out on a Friday at like 5:00, and we would just show up, and we'd get them drunk, and then we would walk out of there with our date. We'd have our date books with us too, and we just book dates.
Wine and cookies. All right.
Yeah.
That's a winning
Great
combination
pairing.
right there. Yeah.
Right.
That's the name of Greg's next book, Wine and Cookies.
Wine and cookies.
Yeah. Right.
A pathway to success. Right. All right, Greg, thanks a lot for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man.
And
hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah. I really appreciate it. Now I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
This is Brad Marchand, and you're listening to Breaking the Ice with Josh Dolan. I don't think he would ever let a pizza get out the door before he buried the whole thing, so he likes to eat that kid.